Hi everyone, welcome to Eve Talks It All, brought to you by the TV Socialites Podcast Network. Today we're just having a nice and simple video about some thriller horror books with strong friendships, either positive or negative. Unsurprisingly, I have a lot more negative ones because I feel like that is a big trope, especially in the thriller genre, to just have a group of friends that you look at and think, why the fuck are you friends? So, I will start with the bad side, and then we'll end with the good side, just to end on a more heartwarming, positive note. So to start the bad side with, I got Sleepless by Lou Morgan. This is about a group of privileged but private school teenagers who need to study for their final exams, and they're struggling. They want good grades, but they don't actually want to put in that much work because, again, they're rich and privileged and think that everything will fall out of the sky for them. So they decide to take these tablets that are meant to help them focus to an almost abnormal degree. But turns out that this is an untested drug with some crazy side effects that make everything turn upside down from them, pretty much. And the reason that this book is going on this side, on this list, it's because this group of friends is genuinely kind of terrible for each other. They are selfish people who all have their own agendas, who would very well sell each other out if it meant getting ahead. You have two characters who are clearly, they kind of have a little something, going on, kind of have a crush on each other, but one of them seems to be very against that, probably because she has a thing for the guy, so she kind of tries to sabotage them being, even like chatting each other up and all that. So yeah, it's a very particular book in the sense that if you are looking forward to reading something where you will be happy for the characters to get their comeuppance, then this is definitely the one for you. And then I have Savage Island by Brian E. Pierce. This is about, again, a group of friends. They win this trip, some kind of a geographical project, but it turns out to actually just be a game where they are meant to compete against other teams of other teenagers with their lives. Only one team can survive, and these people are out for blood. And again, the reason that I'm including it is because these people are kind of terrible. You have one relatively nice person, and then the rest of them are a bit trash. Even so, it's all very just teenagers, again, selling each other out and messing with each other under dire circumstances, but entertaining nonetheless. YA slasher about a girl who joins a privileged private school clique that conduct pranks on other people. They don't call them pranks, but they're really vicious to the point where it endangers the livelihood of some of those people, and also people start dying, and our main character thinks that chances are this group have something to do with it. And yeah, these are some of the worst people that you can think of. They're very unlikable. They're very, you look at them and think the only reason you guys are friends is because you are born into this world and you don't really have anyone else to hang out with, because it's clear that you can't stand each other. And yeah, you have this weird sense of ownership of each other. I don't know, but the way they treat the main character is appalling. And especially with certain things that end up happening in the story. With friends like these, who needs enemies is the point. This one is about girls who go celebrate their senior graduation at this abandoned carnival site, and they start getting picked off one by one. The reason I'm including this on the bad side, even though there are actually a couple of decent friendships, is that a lot of the stuff that happens because of this group of girls is what leads to the plot reveals of the story. And I'm not going to spoil anything, but everything that happens and how the book ends, it really goes into the whole, again, toxic friendships with friends like these who needs enemies sort of thing. And again, it's just teenage girls being teenage girls, which again is fascinating in its own right. And just as a side note, this book has some super creative kills, and I think it's perfect for summer. So then, just to continue on the bad side, we got Bunny by Mona Awad. This is about a girl who wants to be included in this group at her creative writing class. They're very cultish vibes. They call themselves and each other Bunny, and they do these weird erotic readings, but this main character is fascinated by them and again wants to be part of that group. But once she joins, she definitely doesn't get what she wished for, and it's such a fascinatingly toxic dynamic between all of these girls. But the way that it's written, like, it really makes you think, what the fuck is going on? But if you're into that sort of weird horror that makes you just trip, then definitely do pick this one up. I feel like it's been talked about so much that most people probably have picked it up, but it really explores that super toxic side of friendship to an extreme degree. Then I have The Furies by Katie Lowe. This is the book that's the closest to the movie The Craft, and even then it's not quite there, but I just don't think that it's something that can as easily be replicated in a book as it can be in a movie. But then again, I've not seen a good witchy movie in a while, so really in the 90s is where it's at. But anyway, so we have our main character, Violet, who is attending this private school, and she meets these three girls who, again, they are into a bit of a witchy vibe. They do want to cast spells and do all of the creepy witchy stuff. And she really gets entangled with them to the point where she kind of starts losing a bit of sense of herself. And again, this friendship is quite toxic because she starts doing things that she doesn't want to really do, but she doesn't want to lose these people. And there's not as much magic as you would think. It's definitely very subtle and everything is very sustained, almost not dull, but very controlled. It's definitely not some kind of like a fantasy magic book, but more just a lot of it is for your own interpretation. But the underrunning theme is absolutely just toxicity and intense female friendships where there are no boundaries, and how sometimes that can be scarier than any spell that's gone wrong. Then I got Maggie's Grave by David Sodergren. This is kind of a folky slashy horror about a small town with a legend of Maggie, a witch who was burned alive 300 years ago, and that one day she's going to wake up and set things right and claim victims and whatnot. And the reason I'm including this book is that there are some strong negative friendship dynamics in this book. We have this character who is really resentful over the fact that her best friend, they're all pretty young, my dad, like 19 or 20, I think. She's really bitter about the fact that her best friend had a baby, and therefore she feels like she's no longer a number one person in her best friend's life and all that. So the reason that I think it was worth including, because that does actually end up being relevant to the overall storyline. It's not just a throwaway for a bit of character building. So I do think that this uses certain things about resentful friendships and toxicity to develop horror elements, and I think that that is always a nice thing to use horror to bring out real life problems that people might have with each other. So yeah, overall, a good time. Then I have Shiver by Ali Reynolds. This is about a group of people in their late 20s who were friends once in, I don't know, over a decade, who meet up and they want to go skiing, but they're still processing one of their own going missing all those years ago. And they slowly start disappearing one by one. And there are also flashbacks to this group's golden years when they were still friends with each other and spent time together when they were young adults. And again, with friends like these, because these people are horrible to each other. They get in each other's way, they try to sabotage each other, they cheat, lie to each other. And if you finish this book, if you know the twist, then you know what ends up happening between them. So again, extremely toxic. Why would you want friends like that in your life? I wouldn't know. But yeah, it made for a semi-decent read. It wasn't my favorite, but I still liked it enough to recommend it. Then I got The Holiday by T.M. Logan. We have 3 families going on a yearly getaway together, but our main character thinks that after seeing a weird message, she thinks that one of her best friends is sleeping with her husband. And I just think that no matter what ends up happening in the story, that already sets a precedent that you are friends with these women, best friends, whatever you want to call them, but you are immediately completely sure that one of them is fucking your husband, and that you just don't know which one because you actually don't trust either of them. Again, with friends like these, why the fuck would you want friends like that? I don't know, but it just sets that precedent that this is definitely not a wholesome friendship story. Then I got In My Dreams I Hold a Knife by Ashley Winstead. We have a university reunion where a group of former friends are kind of cornered, saying that they know more about one of their deaths all the way back in the day than they're letting on. And then we also see flashbacks. And again, this one is also, why were you all friends? It was just a proximity sort of thing, I guess, because we have them again get into these love triangles, lie and cheat with each other, on each other. There's just all sorts of bad mouthing, gossiping, and even in the present day there's all sorts of resentment and jealousy. Like, this group of people is horrible, which makes for a fun read, but definitely the opposite of friendship goals. And then I have In a Dark, Dark Wood by Ruth Ware, where our main character, Nora, gets invited to a hen do for someone that she's not spoken to in 10 years. And there's this mutual friend who's going, and they go, and it just gets real weird real fast. I've spoken about this book multiple times on this channel, even in the videos that I deleted, but I'm sure it's still there in some videos that I kept up. So anyway, again, horrible group of friends all around, horrible people hurting each other, making horrible decisions, just all unpleasant all around. And her book One by One also falls into that category. It's about a group of friends, colleagues who need to liquidate their company, and they decide to go on a ski chalet getaway to get the unpleasantness sorted, but one of them goes missing. And again, you look at how these people interact and think, yeah, you're not friends, none of you. So then I have The Hunting Party by Lucy Foley. This one is about a group of friends who go on their annual New Year's Eve trip, but one of them is found dead in the beginning of the book, and then we spend the whole book figuring out who it is. This is the only Lucy Foley book that I actually enjoyed. The rest of them were just a bit meh. I've not even read the newest one. I feel like that needs saying, but I just immediately thought, this group of friends is trash. They all seem to just hate each other, and they're hanging around out of convenience because they can't be bothered to find new friends, or they're afraid to be alone. And again, there's lying and cheating involved. There's resentment. There's bitchiness about other people's lifestyles, about the fact that some people are child-free, some people have kids. There's lots of resentment for people who can't have kids, and then it's just such a mess. And I feel like, obviously, for those sort of thrillers, these dynamics work, but if I had friends like that, I would, yeah, I would not be living, laughing, loving. Then I got She Started It by Sian Gilbert. 4 women get invited to a hen do on a private island, but it's for a girl that they all relentlessly bullied in high school. And these are some of the most unlikable characters that you'll ever meet, because they spent so much of the book just trying to excuse themselves and absolve themselves of what they did and say that it wasn't that bad, it was just a bit of teasing, a bit of hazing. And then you also find out a lot of things that happened in their own relationships, in their own friendships amongst each other, that shows that they're actually not good friends to one another. Again, lots of scandals revealed, and there are a few books where I was that excited to start seeing characters drop dead on this island when they get cut off from the world. That was glorious. Then I got The Hike by Lucy Clark. This is another book about friends who have annual trips or try to have annual trips with each other, and they usually go to somewhere warm on a beach or whatever, but then they get pushed by one of the friends who organized it to go hiking in Norway, and they meet some shady people on the mountain trail that kind of turns the whole thing into something else. But the point is that, again, these are people who have done a lot of crap to each other and they harbor a lot of resentment. But I would say that this one is actually a little bit of a crossover towards the good side, because they do kind of end up redeeming themselves as the book goes on and acknowledging their shortcomings and becoming more self-aware. So that's a good start, I suppose, but there was still definitely toxicity. Drink how many times I say that word. But now we can move on to the good side of the friendships. Like I said, this one will be a shorter side. So to start with, I got So Thirsty by Rachel Harrison. Our main character, Sloane, she's pretty sure that her husband is cheating on her, but she's sort of just taking it, lying down when he sends her off on what was meant to be their trip for her birthday with her best friend Naomi instead. And they end up at a vampire orgy, essentially. And they get turned into vampires themselves. And after that, it's just crazy. And the friendship between Sloane and Naomi is the crux of the story. There's so many other things about complacency and stagnancy and aging and all of that. But ultimately, these two women care for and love each other, I meant to say, so much that they are the heart of the story, and a lot of things that happened wouldn't have turned out that same way if they didn't have that much love for. I have My Best Friend's Exorcism by Grady Hendrix. This is about two girls, Abby and Gretchen. They go skinny dipping with two of their other friends one night, and Gretchen disappears in the woods for like hours. And when she comes back, she is different. And Abby starts thinking that she's possessed. And once that gets going, it's just all so intense, because Abby spends so much time trying to help Gretchen when she doesn't want to be helped. And there's honestly just so much love and care from Abby to Gretchen. And it's really rare in real life and in fiction to see someone be so affected and so clinging on to their friend and just wanting what's best for them and going through these lengths, sabotaging their own life to help them. You could argue if that's healthy or not necessarily from different POVs, but there's just lots of love with these two girls, even with all the exorcisms going about. Last few books on this video in general, I got This Delicious Death by Kayla Cottingham. This one is about a weird post-apocalyptic scenario almost, where teenagers just started eating brains, like they kind of became zombified, but then they made synthetic brains, synthetic like human me for them to be able to eat. But then when the girls of the book, the main group of 4 girls, go to celebrate their graduation in this new world now, something happens where they start craving actual living humans again. And this is definitely a power of friendship sort of book, because these girls are crutches for each other. They support each other. They are there for each other through thick and thin, more so than their own families, and it's a really beautiful thing. And it's definitely one of the highlights of the story, although this is a really unique concept, I would say, as far as zombie stories goes. So, fun times. Then I have Run on Red by Noel W. Ichley. This is about two girls who are going to a party, but they start being tailed down by a car, and they're ran off the road, and it's just all really, like, it kicks off from there. It's definitely a complex female friendship, because we have scenes where their survival instincts kind of overtake their compassion and empathy, and then they have to grasp with that. But ultimately, these two girls, they're there through the end. They're supporting each other through this messed up thing that's happening to them, and it's really interesting to witness. Lastly, I'm not pulling them out because they're right at the bottom, but the Good Girls Guide to Murder series, which feature Pip, who is kind of a wannabe detective who starts sleuthing through various cold cases in her town across the series that lead her to dangerous places. I would say that it's definitely an example of friends that will just do what you want, no question, and based on things that happen in the story, that saying, "Oh, I'd help you bury a body, no questions asked," I mean, it definitely comes into its own version of play, but Pip really has a solid group of friends that she kind of holds at arm's length throughout the series, because she's afraid that they'll get hurt, but ultimately she would do anything for them, and they do the same for her. And obviously I'm not going to go through every book and examples of that, because I don't want to spoil it, but it is really a wholesome scenario. So yeah, that is it for these books. Again, it's hard to talk about these things in depth because I don't want to spoil anything, and also it's been a while since I read some of them, but I'm hoping to make a video like that in the future once I have more books that I read that could qualify for this. So I hope to see you next time.